And Jonah Hill blew me away in this movie. I think he definitely deserves a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination.
He is a two-time Oscar nominee as an actor. Who would have thought, watching Superbad, that Jonah Hill would get nominated for an Oscar twice for Wolf of Wall Street and Moneyball?
Me, motherfucker.
I'm like a bird, I only fly away. I don't know where my soul is.
I have had my thoughts on Jonah Hill, like between him, his co-star in 21 Jump Street, Channing Tatum, and Shia LaBeouf. I have had switches in my opinions of them because for me, for a long time, Jonah Hill was just doing the same kind of awkward guy who, I'll touch your face and get a laugh.
Okay, well that schmo obviously doesn't know. Yeg, what's up, guys? It's the Duster. I'm here to do a little special episode regarding my favorite actor of the past 12 years, I'll say. Jonah Hill, the one and only.
Yeah.
Where do babies come from?
Vodka.
Okay, so this isn't like, a biography on Jonah Hill. I'm just going to explain why he's such an important actor to me and has been such an important actor to me. I'm going to talk about, like, in chronological order, like, all of the movies I've seen with him and, like, just tell you guys how I feel. The first time I remember seeing Jonah Hill, if I recall correctly, was when I saw the Adam Sandler film Click. I fucking hate that movie. Can we just talk about how stupid that fucking movie is? This might be a controversial opinion, but I hate that movie more than Jack and Jill.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
It's an emotionally manipulative garbage film that isn't funny at all, and literally the only funny moment in the movie is from Jonah Hill.
Maybe if you would take me to Pilates like you said you would, people wouldn't think I was Rosie O'Donnell.
Come on, I love you! Bring me back the Twinkies!
And that was before I knew who Jonah Hill even was.
Dustin was the first person who really wanted me to be in a film, and he got me an audition for I Heart Huckabees, which ended up being my first film. I had a tiny, forgettable part in the movie, but it was all thanks to Dustin.
Okay, he's obviously not talking about me, but he's talking about Dustin Hoffman. He was friends with his kids in Hollywood. Yeah, Jonah Hill grew up in a well-off family. Who cares? Some of us are born lucky. That's not what I care about. What I care about is his acting, boy. He got an audition for a really small role for I Heart Huckabees. He got it. I love that movie, but he's not one of the reasons why I love that movie. But he fits his role fine. Other people might remember his little tiny role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is great, of course.
Yeah, so I'd just rather buy them from you, straight up.
Yeah, I know. I wish it could be that easy, but...
I wish too, but you're making it extremely difficult for me. I'm just trying to get these shoes back to my house so I can wear them.
But the big breakout role, to me, for Jonah Hill, before he got huge, not his weight, was Accepted. That little movie with him and Justin Long and Blake Lively. It's really fucking underrated. It's from the director of Hot Tub Time Machine. And, of course, Jonah Hill. This was really his first scene-stealing role.
Ask me about my wiener. These are the happiest times of my life, all right? Hey, ask me about my wiener.
And, of course, after Accepted, then came the big one. No, not Evan Almighty.
And then I ended up meeting Judd Apatow, and he's someone who's been a great mentor and friend, and the rest is kind of history. I don't know. The rest is why I'm here. Superbad was written for Seth Rogen. Seth was originally going to play the character named Seth, obviously, and then he got too old, and we were friends, and Judd and Seth wanted me to play it. And I was 22 or 23 and been out of high school for a while. So my folks, I grew up in LA, and I went back and lived in my high school room with my parents while we were shooting, and kind of got the vibe of that feeling trapped and all those feelings of frustration you have in high school.
Okay, now Superbad might be the most important film to come out in my lifetime. I was born in 1995, and I know it's just some people just say, oh, it's just a raunchy, dirty teen comedy, man, with a lot of sex and drugs and mayhem. Those people I don't want to talk to you. Because it's not. It's more than that. It's one of the most genuine high school films I've ever seen. It's super hyper-realistic. The dialogue is hyper-realistic. People 20 years from now might rewatch the film and go, oh, the language in this is so not PC. Well, that's not my fucking fault because that's how people talked during that time. And that's how people talked when I was in high school. And by the way, I lent this DVD to a friend of mine like a year ago, and they returned it to me about 2 months later, and the disc is missing. I have the special feature disc. Matt, give me my disc back. Give me my disc back, Matty Oist. Superbad came out in 2007, around the time where I was really, really getting into movies around that time. I was really obsessed with watching, the new version of the Ebert and Roper show with Ben Mankiewicz and Ben Lyons, and I watched the Real Talk show with Jeffrey Lyons and Allison Bales, and I have like a billion fucking Leonard Maltin books, if you could see that on my shelf. I was really getting into movies around that time, and then Superbad came out, and even though I was 11 years old, my dad took me to see it. He knew I was mature enough to, go and watch it, and we watched it, and it was the fucking funniest movie I've ever seen at that point. And honestly, it still is, because I could watch that movie over and over and over again. You could do the Clockwork Orange thing, for me. Just duct tape my eyes back, and you just put that movie on repeat. I will never get sick of that. Just come in the room every once in a while and feed me. Besides the movie being just excellently directed and geniusly written and brilliantly acted by everyone involved, Jonah Hill is pretty much the reason why this movie is as important as it is. Because without that performance, without the depth that he gives to that character, and the 100% genuine feel that character has, the movie would have just collapsed. You needed someone with that live wire ability to improv and make it seem natural, not that he's trying to outshine his co-stars just because he's in a up and coming comedy movie. It wasn't a showboating performance at all. All of his one-liners, genius one-liners in this movie.
Oh, Evan! Thank you for bringing that lube for my pussy. I never would have been able to handle your fucking 4-inch dick inside my pussy without that gigantic bottle of lube. She's DTF. She's down to fuck, man. P and G. She wants to fuck, man.
Fucking calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Fuck you, man.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go piss your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago, asshole.
People don't forget.
What if I don't feel like it anymore, Seth? What?
They'll fucking kill you, okay? I'll get a knife and stab you through your fucking heart.
I am McLovin.
No, you're not. No one's McLovin. McLovin's never existed because that's a made-up, dumb fucking fairy tale name, you fuck!
Come from a place of realism and experience. All those scenes he has with McLovin and that he's just, it looks like he wants to murder him. It doesn't even look like he knows he's in a comedy. It looks like he's in the moment. He's completely believable. Fun fact, if you guys didn't know, he initially didn't even like Christopher Mintz-Plasse. You can watch the audition for yourself. I'm not going to put that in the video because it'll pad out a little more than I want it to, this video already. But you could just tell that, Jonah Hill at one point just looks at Christopher Mintz-Plasse and goes, I don't like you. He just breaks character and goes, I don't like you. And he took that energy once they casted him in the film, and he really put that and made his performance better. I don't know whether or not they're friends now. They should be. I mean, it was kind of a petty hatred to begin with, Jonah. You can't hate McLovin, come on. And of course, it helps that him and Michael Cera just have an amazing chemistry with one another.
Don't make me feel like that. I thought it was cool. This is a nice cunt.
Let me see that for a second.
An impressive
Actually,
cunt.
it's kind of cool.
That's
Fucking
cool.
Dumbass. Lube!
Oh, that's fine.
You brought lube!
So you owe me $6, because I'm not walking over there to get it, and it exploded.
And his friendship with Michael Cera is also terrifically depicted in the film, because once you realize that Jonah Hill, he knew that Michael Cera was going to room with McLovin in the movie, but he kept it as a secret. That's a real thing that friends do. They find out shit about their friends, but they don't talk about it. And I know that's more due in part to the script, but Jonah Hill sold that. You could call it a stupid subplot in the movie to add drama or tension, but it comes from a place of 100% just completely real. And that's how friends sort of talk to each other in moments like that, where they don't want to really fight, so they just keep that shit inside because they don't want to have a rift in the friendship. Like I said, it's geniusly written, but without those little touches that Jonah Hill brings, it wouldn't have been a good performance. Even John Roca agrees with me. So for all you Collider heads that are watching me and disagreeing and just saying I have a gay crush on Jonah Hill, then fuck you.
Even in Superbad, there were moments of real desire to connect and tenderness amidst all the gross out humor that he plays really well. You know, the moments with Emma Stone are very well done. And when he's carrying Michael Cera, yeah, it's ridiculous, but you believe him.
Exactly, John. Exactly my point. You should have stood up and smacked Christian Harloff in the face. I haven't shown you one clip where Jonah Hill just touches someone on the face to get a laugh. I have no idea where he got that from. But anyway, back to Superbad. To me, he possibly has my favorite line delivery in a movie.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, it was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad?
Just in that moment, like you know that he's not like acting. Like he's like really in that moment, and he's just like the way his eyes bulge, and he's just like, why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad? I know it's the script, but just certain people could just deliver simple lines and just make them just better than they should be. And that is a prime example of a line that shouldn't really be that great, but it is, just because of the way he delivers the line.
Seth, get off the field!
Come on!
You're getting that!
Jonah was only nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Comedic Performance and Best Breakthrough Performance for his performance in Superbad. But honestly, I think at the very least he deserved a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Comedy. But I would have nominated him for Best Actor, especially near the third act where he really just gets emotional and isn't afraid to do so. And he still maintains to be, like, hysterical, too. This is the point where I was like, Jonah Hill's going to be a star, a huge star. Okay, now one thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is that on the DVD for Superbad, they put this interview with Jonah Hill and Michael Cera, and they're getting interviewed by this British guy. And see for yourself.
Jonah, do you think it's important to be unattractive to be funny? Can skinny people be funny?
Ben Stiller is 5'2" and he weighs 110 pounds. He's in incredible shape. He's like amateur bodybuilder.
Yeah, you think this might be real, right? It could be real, but it turns out it's not. It's actually a prank that Jonah and the crew of Superbad pulled, along with Edgar Wright, because they were sick and tired of the fatigue they were feeling while being interviewed for Superbad and getting the same terrible questions, like, what is Superbad, really?
Michael and I at the press junket got interviewed by our friend Edgar Wright, who directed Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. And it looks completely real, like people think it's real. We wrote him all these questions. He's like the nicest guy. He didn't want to say any of the mean shit, and I was like, just say it.
And what transpires, to people who just watch this as a regular interview, you would have to think this is real.
What will you do when your career's over? In a couple of months.
What the fuck, man? You know, are you deliberately trying to do this to like get a rise out? Is this English dry wit, or are you just a fucking asshole?
Just the way Jonah is reacting to these questions, it's just supernatural. It's like not supernatural, but it's super space natural. And as a guy who's dealt with anger issues his entire life, this is a very accurate representation of anger management. Like, seriously. I just think of like the craziest shit to just insult them with, and that's what Jonah did.
Let's keep the questions light. Can skinny people really be funny? Because Jonah is clearly more funny than you in the film, Michael.
You know, we've done 20 fucking interviews today, and I feel like you're personally just coming after me, and I just feel like I don't know what, I'm just kind of not really in the mood to do this. We don't need this interview. We've done 20 interviews. It's not fun.
Sorry.
You know how badly I want to No, you think it's funny. You think this is all a big fucking joke, but this is, we're here. We don't need to be here. We're here to try and sell the movie. We're not here to be your fucking friend. Don't laugh like you're my friend, okay? I would fucking knock your teeth out of your dumb fucking English skull.
It's like in the, he's like he is in the film.
You know I'm stressed out? Because I'm fucking on Atkins, I haven't eaten shit all day, because every fucking reporter comes in here and asks me what it's like to be fucking unattractive, and I want to fucking sit here and fucking kill you right now. I literally, my dream right now is to get out of this chair and fucking knock your teeth out of your head.
And then think of the most violent threat, too, just lay upon them. Just the way that he stumbles on some of his words, and how he's trying to be, you know, cool at first, and then he just rips him a new asshole, and it's scary real. Like, this is definitely, like amazing acting. Like, I know it's a fake interview and everything, but it just proves once again. And even like at that young of an age, he was like 23 at the time. Like, that's fucking great acting.
And like eventually I just fucking freak out and like hit him. And like it looks complete. It's like looks. People think it's real on the internet, and that's like exactly what we wanted.
No, fuck you. No, fuck you. Jonah, you fucking...
So after Superbad, Jonah became like Hollywood's go-to character actor. He appeared in movies like The Invention of Lying, Evan Almighty, Walk Hard as Dewey's deceased older brother, Funny People as a disgruntled budding comic, along with Seth Rogen and Jason Schwartzman. He was in Grandma's Boy before Superbad, a stoner classic. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, memorably as the waiter who was like stalking Russell Brand. And he was fucking hysterical in that one scene he had in Night at the Museum 2.
Oh, so you're threatening me. You're threatening me, Brandon?
It's Brundon.
Excuse me?
Brundon.
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 Brundon. What did they run out of use on your nameplate maker?
I don't know. Did they run out of jokes at the interesting joke store that you shop at? I'm not here to be your speech therapist. It's Brundon.
Brundon, okay.
You've never heard of the name before?
Brundon? No.
Look up most popular baby names in 1984. Brundon.
So I can't do this, right?
Okay, that's actually crazy. Did you just make a decision to possibly end your life earlier than you were expecting? I'm gonna hit you with a flashlight.
Oh, now you are threatening me.
I think...
Okay.
Do not touch it.
Don't touch me.
Do not touch it.
Don't touch me.
Do not
Don't touch me.
I'll touch you with my flashlight all day.
No,
I
the
will
flashlight
literally...
is meant to illuminate.
I will literally rent a camper, and we will drive across America with my flashlight on your chest.
Yeah, that scene kind of rivals Bill Murray in Zombieland. He's also done quite a few animated films, doing voice roles in films like Horton Hears a Who, How to Train Your Dragon series, Lego Batman movie, the Lego movie, and most notably Megamind, which he was terrific in. He had some really underrated roles, too, in movies like Knocked Up, which he was awesome in, and he was great in The Watch with Ben Stiller as well. And also Strange Wilderness, I want to give a shout out to, because he's fucking hilarious in that movie as this stoned out hippie, like, country guy.
If you're my stepmom fearless, then fuck you. Hey Dad, why'd you marry that whore? Don't tell me to turn my music down. Because there's tons of different opinions on what the volume of music that should be played in your house is. Plus, we all know Phyllis has super fucking sensitive hearing. I don't think it's right for her to tell me to turn off my fucking music.
And he steals scenes. Like, Strange Wilderness is like an infamously shit-on movie, but it's a self-aware, goofy as fuck comedy, and I find it really rewatchable. It's stupid, but it knows it's stupid, too. And the movie ends with a blooper reel. It's fucking hilarious, that movie.
You stupid fuck! Go buy some sandals! Hey, go buy some sandals! You wanna fight? I'll fucking fight. I haven't fought in 10 years. I'm fighting you. What you got? What you got? Let's see. Throw down, bitch. Throw down, bitch.
Okay, so now it's 2010, right? Jonah Hill, he's about to make it even bigger. They're giving him his own spin-off movie with Russell Brand, even though he's not playing the same character he did in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Jonah Hill. He's playing an entirely new character with opposite Russell Brand, who's playing his character from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Get Him to the Greek was one of my most anticipated films from 2010, and while I'm not a huge fan of that movie, I do find a lot of fucking hilariously memorable moments in that movie. It's just the movie as a whole is a mess, but Jonah Hill is one of those consistent things in the movie that I find to be terrific. I think his performance, like I said, for all these other performances, it's super realistic. It's super believable. Russell Brand gets on my nerves in that movie. I feel like he went like a little too far in that movie, but Jonah Hill really kind of saved it. Him and P. Diddy. And it was awesome seeing him like opposite T.J. Miller too for that one scene.
I am trying to look up a friend of mine who's staying at the hotel. I don't know what room he's in.
Okay. What's the last name?
It's spelled H.
Okay.
E. R. O. I. N. Can you find that guest for me?
Okay, I see what you're doing. I don't think it's funny, to be honest with you. When you come here, you ask me is somebody named Heroin is checked in the fucking hotel because you want to buy drugs and that's how you do it? You pretend that it's the last name of a fucking guest? Are you out of your mind?
I don't know. I'm looking for my friend Heroin. Do you know him?
Yeah, I do. He'll be out back at the Spice Market Buffet in 20 minutes.
I feel like I'm in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Now, when Jonah was doing, like, press for Get Him to the Greek, they wrote an article about him in Rolling Stone, and I just want to read an excerpt for you. Every teacher I ever had told me I was never going to be anything, he recalls. In 10th grade, Hill moved from one private school to another where he was much happier, except for the fact that one of his least favorite teachers happened to make the same switch. He was horrified. She showed up, and I was like, what are you doing here? She sucked. She made me sad. She's probably the reason I didn't believe in myself. You want to make all these teachers eat their words. Years later, not long after Superbad, Hill spotted the same teacher in Santa Monica. Every emotion came rushing back to me, but I was like, I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to be responsible. But then the teacher came up to him and acted like she's always been Hill's biggest fan and supporter. I knew you were going to be successful. I knew it, she told him. As always, Jonah Hill figured out the right thing to say. He looked his old teacher in the eyes and said, "Go fuck yourself, lady," then turned and strolled away. Now, if that's not goals, I have no idea what is. Everyone has that one teacher that just didn't believe in you, and like just imagining, just telling him that shit, like that's heaven. I could relate to that, Jonah. After Get Him to the Greek, Jonah went on to do probably his most complex and eccentric role to date from the Duplass brothers, Cyrus.
Made a list of filmmakers I really admired and said, hey, they're going to pay for movies if I act in them. What do you have, you know? And I called Mark and Jay right away. They were the first phone call I made when my agents and stuff were like, what do you want to do next? And they had Cyrus, and they were like, do you want to play this really weird character? And I was all for it.
Cyrus, to me, was like the first Jonah performance that really made me go, yeah, this guy could definitely make the transition to drama if he wanted to. And it made me go back and watch Superbad and just rewatch his performance and just appreciate his performance in that even more. It's a movie I don't want to spoil for you, and you should have seen it. It's been out 8 years, okay? Watch that movie. It's a great character study. He plays an insanely intricate character in that, and it's a one-of-a-kind performance that only Jonah Hill could have brought to the table.
I'm here babysitting these wonderful, perfectly ethnically diverse kids today. Yeah.
My dad says white people suck. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, yeah. I'm a fan of The Sitter, like a big fan of it. I like it even more than I did when I previously reviewed it years ago. It's low-key becoming like a cult favorite of mine, just like Strange Wilderness. But this is a very heartfelt and shocking and like also consistently hysterical comedy. It's not meant to be taken 100% seriously. Just like people didn't take Adventures in Babysitting seriously, but they have to put logic to The Sitter. The Sitter! It's a fun, hilarious movie. It stars Jonah Hill as...
My name's Noah J. Bird.
Noah J. Bird? Oh, you like to fly.
Yeah, it's one of his most charming leading performances to me. I love him in this movie. He plays this... loser character who's down on his luck. His mom forces him to babysit for a friend of hers, and he has to just, have this weird camaraderie with a bunch of kids, and really good kid actors, I should add. Back and forth with them is not only super naturalistic and realistic like all of his other performances, it's just downright fucking funny to me.
My real babysitter, Nancy, she does what I want her to do.
I'm not a real babysitter. I'm more of a sit on the couch.
What's up, you little tampon?
Do whatever I say or I'll kill you type of babysitter.
Ah! You sprayed perfume in my mouth.
I hate you.
I fucking hate you too. I'll destroy you.
Cuídate, cabrón.
Don't you fuck with me, Rodrigo.
And I don't think this movie gets a lot of credit for writing in a gay character with a lot of sensitivity and vulnerability. And Jonah Hill's scene with Max Records, who's terrific in the film, by the way, and NIFA nominated. Jonah Hill's scene with him is super sweet and lovable and also hilarious. He's like, I've seen Devil Wears Prada like 20 times, and I think it's a dope flick. D Wears P? Jonah Hill's reactions to everybody in this movie is just great.
Ooh, shit, I remember you. I went to high school with your ass. You came to my house party one time, got all wasted, and then you puked in my grandmama's urn. And when I asked you about it, you lied. Ran away like a little bitch.
I didn't run away like a little bitch. I probably just ran like a normal person.
To great supporting performances from Sam Rockwell and J.B. Smoove. It's just a fucking fun movie. And the guy, David Gordon Green directed it. It's Pineapple Express. Classic. I also saw this movie on the first night that I actually babysat, and it was a great example. I mean, I was practically Jonah Hill as a babysitter. I wasn't very good.
What's your name, baby? They call me Soul Baby. Soul Baby? Yeah. Keep it in control, baby. Tears, no fears, man. Oh, is that right? Respect it, don't neglect it. All right, my brother. Treat it, don't beat it, my man. All right, baby. You're a badass motherfucker.
Right after The Sitter came out, he was nominated for his first Academy Award, deservedly so, that I called, by the way. That was absolutely my reaction to him getting nominated. And of course, by the time 21 Jump Street came out, I was saying this.
I've never seen a movie with Jonah Hill that afterwards I was like, oh, Jonah Hill was awful in that movie. No, he's always been great. And after seeing this movie, I think about saying this for a while, Jonah Hill's the funniest person in Hollywood.
And at that point, he was like unstoppable. He really was. Like he was absolutely hysterical in that movie.
I was in a French fry commercial when I was a kid. So people are like, you know, often say, oh, I think I know you, but I don't think we've ever met before. Yeah, the theme song was like, come to Andrew's French Fry Emporium, where friendship and French fries go hand in hand.
He's Oscar nominated. He has the biggest comedy in America. The guy is number one. And he fucking wrote 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, which was also fucking great, and a terrific comedy sequel. And it's weird because right before 21 Jump Street came out, and people saw how skinny he got for that movie, people were like, is he gonna be funny anymore? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And by the time he was Oscar nominated, people thought he was acting over serious. And by the time This Is the End came out, he satirized that portrayal everyone saw him as.
It's like the golfing sequence in Navy SEALs.
Sick reference, though, bro.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
And it cracks me up every fucking time I watch it.
The power of Christ compels you.
Oh, does it? Does it compel me?
The power of Christ compels you.
Does it, Jay?
The power of Christ compels you.
Is the power of Christ compelling me? Is that what's happening?
Now, some of you may know that Jonah cameoed in Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, but he was originally supposed to have a larger role, but he couldn't be in the movie with the larger role because he was filming The Watch with Ben Stiller. His original role in the movie involved a lot of screen time with Kerry Washington's character, who had a much bigger part in the original script. And then the next movie was The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah! My boy Jonah collaborating with the big dogs. First Tarantino, then Scorsese. That's what I'm talking about. Got him his second fucking Oscar nomination. Deservedly so. He plays Donnie Azoff in this movie, Leonardo DiCaprio's best friend / right-hand man, who may or may not be married to his cousin.
Her father is the brother of my mom.
He's married to his cousin.
Look, we grew up together, and she grew up hot, you know, she fucking grew up hot, and all my friends were trying to fuck, you know, and I'm not gonna let someone, you know, one of these assholes fuck my cousin, so, you know, I used the cousin thing as like an in with her. I'm not gonna let someone else fuck my cousin, you know, if anyone's gonna fuck my cousin, it's gonna be me out of respect, you know.
And it's just already an iconic performance. Whenever people talk about Wolf of Wall Street, they talk just as much about Jonah Hill as they do Leonardo DiCaprio, who also gives the performance of his career in this movie. And he's better than Jonah Hill, but Jonah Hill is just his perfect complement. And every scene with Jonah Hill, it's like he steals it. And he's like the new Joe Pesci of today, but like in a different way. His dynamic with Leonardo DiCaprio has been compared many times to the dynamic of Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and I think that's very fair. I remember the morning he was nominated for an Oscar for that. I was waiting in school, in class, refreshing my phone, and then when the nominations came up, I almost jumped out of my fucking seat when I found out he was nominated, because he didn't have any precursor nominations. It was kind of a shock, honestly. But his performance was strong enough to garner the attention of all the Academy voters, so fuck yeah. That's 2 more nominations than Richard fucking Gere. And plus, his chemistry with John Barenthal in this movie is just out of control. The anti-chemistry, I should say.
I don't want to be out of line or anything, but I think you like me, like you. Like when you come at me, you look at me. I know. I just noticed. You have like a fucking like a twinkle. You have like a twinkle. Did you try and kiss me, bro? Jesus. Bro, did you try? I have like I don't know. Listen. It's not a homophobic thing. Right. You're just not the one for me, pal. Okay.
Some of the most memorable dialogue of the decade, for sure.
You gotta take this case. You gotta drive straight home. I need you to open up the briefcase. I need you to take out every single dollar. Don't leave $1 inside the briefcase. And once you have it all neatly organized outside of the briefcase, I need you to take it and I need to shove it right up your wife's Latvian cunt. You understand?
It's an absolutely live wire performance, and I love every second of it. And he eats a fucking goldfish. His next awesome performance came in War Dogs, directed by Todd Phillips. Originally, Jonah Hill was offered 2 big roles in 2009. One of them was to play Shia LaBeouf's college roommate in Transformers 2. He's obviously smart for not choosing that. And the other one was to play Zach Galifianakis' role in The Hangover. He was the first person offered for that. That's insane. I just imagine, like, what reality we would be in if Jonah Hill was in The Hangover. With Todd Phillips, this was his big foray into drama. This is still, it has comedic moments. People call it a comedy. Jonah Hill was rightfully nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor, even though it was a supporting performance and it wasn't a fucking comedy. He is such a manipulative, sociopathic asshole in this movie. But you still like him.
What does IBM stand for? Nothing. It just sounds professional.
Actually, IBM stands for International Business Machines.
What'd you say?
IBM stands for International Business Machines.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm serious. You're not gonna work here. Get the fuck out of my office, you fucking nerd!
Because of, like, how, like, competent of an actor he is. He definitely gives off Joe Pesci vibes in this movie, too. And his chemistry with Miles Teller is just terrific. And I was just really excited to see them be paired together in the first place. And it just turned out to be a great combo. And I'd love to see them work again, honestly. It's a really great performance, and I highly recommend the movie if you haven't seen it. Alright, and the last performance he's given that is absolutely phenomenal is most recently in Gus Van Sant's Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. Now, I briefly talked about that movie in my last video, I believe. And while that movie is a goddamn mess, I believe I said you should see that movie anyway just because of the performance Jonah Hill gives. And everyone else is pretty good in that movie too, but he is fucking amazing and deserves a Best Supporting Actor nomination. There aren't any good clips on YouTube, so I can't show you any clips of him in that movie, but he plays such a sensitive, tough love character for Joaquin Phoenix, and he's very honest, and Jonah Hill disappears into this role. It's comedic at points, but comedic in a realistic way, in a lighthearted way, not in like a raunchy way like a lot of his other roles. In this movie, he brought me like close to tears near the end because of his backstory and just the way he would deliver his lines, just as usual. He's just a sublime actor in that movie, and he deserves way more buzz. I believe if that movie was actually just a better movie overall and got better reviews, I believe that he'd be a lock for Best Supporting Actor this year. Fucking finally, I'm sorry, I had to talk about him for a while to, build up to this. Let's go to Mid90s already, Berg. Let's do it, Mid90s!
Yo, check the script.
All right, so Mid90s, it's another goddamn directorial debut, but this time it's from my boy Jonah. And yeah, I was super looking forward to this movie ever since they announced it back like a couple years ago. Couldn't wait for this movie at all. It stars Sonny Soljic from Killing of a Sacred Deer, Lucas Hedges from Manchester by the Sea, Berg, yeah. It also stars Catherine Waterston along with newcomers Nakel Smith, Olin Prenant, and Ryder McLaughlin. Now, I saw this movie back in July. Not kidding. This is the ticket they gave us. All right, admit one. I know it doesn't say the movie, but we saw the first test screening for it. Me and my friend Dominic and Frank. All right, we all saw it. It was fucking surreal. And I waited to talk about it because A, I thought I'd get arrested if I made a review about it, and B, I just wanted to get a fresher perspective on the film, so I just went tonight to the theater and saw it again. And by God, it still is my favorite movie of the year. Mid90s isn't perfect. It's arguably a little too short. It's definitely derivative of other coming-of-age films of the past, and maybe even a few from this year, particularly 8th Grade. But to me, Jonah Hill adds a fresh perspective to it in the way that the movie feels. It feels like his acting 100% real all the time because I know people like this. It feels genuine. And the dialogue is absolute evidence of that. It's terrific, this film. Now, the film follows Stevie, a young 13-year-old growing up in LA, and he has an abusive older brother played by Lucas Hedges, and kind of a neglectful but well-meaning mom played by Catherine Waterston. And he falls into this group of skate rats at this local skate shop, and he just falls in love with it. Now, this film is like a slice of life sort of film, sort of like 8th Grade. The movie isn't really story focused, it's more character focused, and particularly, it's more so a character study on Sonny Soljic. This is absolutely his breakout movie, Sonny Soljic, and the way that he carries the movie is absolutely believable, and you're rooting for this character, even in some of the portions of the film where he becomes unlikable, arguably. This is the best child lead performance that I've seen probably since Max Records and Where the Wild Things Are. It's that level of performance, and if he gets Oscar buzz for this, that would be fucking awesome. Go Sunburn! Sunburn! That's his nickname in the movie. Sunburn! That's how they say it. Oh my god. And how Jonah Hill casts these skateboarders who aren't really actors, and he convinced me that they can fucking act, that's for sure. Not Kel Smith being the absolute breakout. He deserves Oscar buzz for Best Supporting Actor, honestly. He's kind of the heart and soul of this movie, and his character of Ray was just so nice to watch and refreshing to watch. He was so fucking good. He reminded me of like a younger Keith Stanfield. Olin Prenant, who plays the character of Fuck Shit. Yeah, that's a character in this movie. He's gonna probably be in like so many different comedies in the upcoming years. I could just see him getting typecast as like the go-to funny guy, but he's outstandingly funny and very vulnerable as well. He gives a great performance as Fuck Shit. It's a great performance. Ryder McLaughlin as 4th Grade is terrific. Gio Galicia as Ruben was probably literally one of my only flaws with the movie because I felt like out of all the skaters in the movie, I feel like if I had to choose one who felt like he was acting, it was probably him. And he was given kind of like the most typical or stereotypical character in the movie. Lucas Hedges was he just keeps proving how he's just one of the greatest up and coming actors of his generation. He's scary good in this movie playing his older brother, and it's a quiet but slightly disturbing but also slightly funny performance he turns in, Lucas Hedges. Funny in a good way. I wish a girl loved me as much as Lucas Hedges loves orange juice in this movie. He really transforms and sort of disappears into this movie, and there's one scene where he's wearing a Clinton mask, and it's insane. One of the big reasons why I love this movie so much is that the look of the movie, the cinematography by Christopher Blauvelt, who also did the cinematography for Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, it's the best of the year by far for me. It's so intimate, and it's shot a lot in close-ups, and you really get to see from the perspective of these characters, and particularly Stevie, and it's just beautiful to look at the entire time, and the editing is outstanding as well, and just really abrupt, but in a good way. And of course, the soundtrack is getting a huge buzz, and it's a stacked soundtrack, people. We got A Tribe Called Quest, Big L, Seal, the Mamas and the Papas, fucking Cypress Hill. I could go on for hours. The soundtrack in this movie is so well utilized. It's one of the best soundtracks of the decade for me. It's terrific. He got a song off fucking Unplugged. That's baller. And the dialogue, like I said, is just, it's completely authentic. People are complaining that it's not PC. It's set in the fucking 90s, all right? People aren't going to talk PC or whatever the fuck that means, okay? That's how people talked, okay? And Jonah Hill isn't like making light of it. He's commenting on how, homophobic, slurs aren't good. And, I don't really see why there's a controversy about that. Yeah, there's not much of a story to this movie, but I just loved following these characters, and I could have watched it for probably another 15 or 20 minutes if it was, consistent as it was the whole way through. If they added another 15 minutes onto this movie, I probably would not have cared at all. It's a sweet, fucking hilarious movie, too. Like, Gerard Carmichael's scene is one of the funniest scenes of the year to me.
Hey, y'all not supposed to be around here. Get the fuck out.
Hey, the little nigga with the Toys R Us badge, come here.
You can't say nigga, I don't think. You fucking Sheryl Crow looking motherfucker.
Jesus Smoke Cools. Just a fucking feel-good, bittersweet movie that it's the type of movie I wanted this year. And rewatching it again tonight, it really had me thinking. It just makes me feel warm inside this movie. And Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I forgot to mention their score is just outstanding. It's hypnotically brilliant. Now, I'm not a skateboarder. I didn't grow up skating, but I think anybody who, has like a group of friends like this could relate to this movie for sure, because he definitely found the language. That's for sure. These characters are definitely depicted 100% realistically, and I definitely appreciate that. And the skating scenes, like I said, are just beautiful to look at. It's going to get a lot of comparisons to Harmony Korine's film Kids, and it's funny that Harmony Korine even has a cameo in this movie. And to me, I think this film is more of like a love letter to skateboarding than Kids was, even though Kids, was made at that time anyway, and it was more about, AIDS. But I really hope this movie sparks a career for Nakel Smith, sparks some Oscar nominations for Jonah Hill for screenplay and director, and he's just such a brilliant motherfucker. He's my hero. I love you, Jonah Hill. You make such sensitive, thoughtful work, and you're a true artist. Much love. This movie gets a 9.5 out of 10. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. I implore all of you to go and see this film. Hopefully you won't be mad at me and just agree with me.
Yo, Stevie fucking insane. Fuck him,
So yeah, that was the video. Hopefully you guys loved it. I wanted this to be a lighter, less angry video than I make usually. I usually love ranting about everything, but it was nice to just, sit back and just gush about something I really admire. And Jonah Hill is definitely someone that I truly admire, and I hope that he just continues his streak of brilliance for the upcoming years. Jonah Hill. Jonah fucking Hill. Jonah Hill. Jonah fucking Hill. He's the GOAT. The motherfucking GOAT. That's right. I'ma shoot you off this boat. What? Don't know what I said. Don't know what I do. Ooh. I don't rap, man. I just want to go poo. Ooh. Why did I do that?
To me, I connect the most with things that are uncomfortable and heartbreaking. And that's what my heart goes out to, because I can identify with both of those things, whether they're funny. Sometimes you're able to laugh at them in a very small moment, and sometimes they're life-defining and dramatic, But to me, discomfort I find very amusing, and as well as heartbreaking. So.
I love it when you call me Big Pop.
Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. I love it when you